What is good, everybody, and welcome to FPL Today Live. Thank you so much for joining us. And of course, we start off the stream by saying, what are we drinking? And this isn't sponsored, but I just am really impressed with this drink. And if you want to tweet at them, I don't know what the Twitter handle is for them. It's not on the bottle, but definitely go tell them that I'm interested in being sponsored. It is O'Donnell's Tough Nut Moonshine. This stuff is tasty, trust me. And the bottle's quite cool as well. So that's what we're drinking tonight. As you can see, lovely jubbly, a lot of ice. It's only 25%, so don't worry, I shouldn't get too hammered. But I just thought, you know what, I love it. So I'm going to promote it, even if they're not paying me. Did email them. I was hoping for a bit of something. A bit of maybe free drink. But you know, I'll just enjoy it while streaming. Anyway, let's shout out to some people already in the chat. We've got Matthew Berry. Thank you very much, Matthew, for joining. Always one of the first. Always one of the first when he can be in the streams. Michael Foley, good to see you. Baskar Bora, also in the chat. Another Hoops in the chat. Good to see another Hoops. World of Smite, Supersport Gaming, Jim B, Tommy Parker, and Bob Marley with a L-E-I. As far as the music, Bob Marley, that may go because I keep coming up with copyright strikes now. And I have to cut out the intro. So that's why there's no music right now playing. But in the future, there may be music. Maybe music. So, that's enough chitter-chatter. Let's actually get on to why everyone is here. Let's get on to the FPL stuff. So, before we get into it, if you want your questions answered, I will pick and choose a bunch of them. There are poll questions as well. So, go check out the poll questions, vote, and we go over that at the end of the stream. But if you want a question urgently answered and you think I'm annoying you or avoiding you or anything like that, you can super chat it. I guarantee to answer any questions that are super chatted, purely because, you know, if you're going to donate money to the channel and support the channel, I should at least make sure to answer your question. But otherwise, I am going to have to pick and choose because we get some decent numbers now and again in these streams. So we also have Andy Bick, Philip Bostock, Oyotunde Legirin. Hopefully I said that right. Connor Mullin, Florence Sandu. Haven't seen you in a while, Florin, I feel like. So thanks for joining the stream again. Daraj Pandey. Elizaration with the bacon. Luke Gamer HD. And Dave Bukemi. And Anush Mutu. So, let's quickly just cover my team in case you haven't watched my video. If you want to watch the video, feel free to go and do that after the stream, of course. We got 58 points, but it was with a -4, putting us bang on the average with 54 points. We brought in Pogba and we brought in Danny Ings. Unfortunately, both now are either out. Danny Ings is out and Pogba is an injury worry. But overall, I quite like the side. The issue is Son playing Pogba this game week. But last game week, Alonso, Sane, Son, and Aubameyang returning the points for me. Wan-Bissaka again with points on the bench. Thank God I didn't play Schindler though, -3. Schindler could possibly change to someone even cheaper like a Bednarek. They do have 5 good fixtures. Unfortunate with Button. Didn't play him the game week before this one. Wish I had. Foster getting plenty of saves though. 9 saves made, which got him 4 points despite the fact he conceded 3 goals. So that was decent. For a goalkeeper that conceded 3 goals to get 4 points is nice. As far as the team going forward, we've got Foster in goal. Definitely not playing Button against Liverpool. We've got Doherty, Alonso, Digne and Wan-Bissaka. We've got Sane, Salah, Son and Pogba. Jimenez and Aubameyang. The fixture worries there. Wolves can perform against the big sides. So hopefully they will do it here. They've punished me for not picking them against big sides before. So that's why they're in the lineup. We also have, of course, Son and Pogba facing each other. And then Jimenez, like I just said, against Man City, the same as Doherty. Otherwise, the team looks pretty decent. Pogba injury worry is a bit annoying. Son does need to be transferred out after this game week because he'll be going to the Asian Cup. And then this injury here is quite annoying, Danny Ings. But I do like the look of Southampton for the next 5. Only issue is I brought him in for that 5. He might miss some of it now, which is very, very annoying. But we will go over more as far as my transfer concerns and decisions in a video that should come up either tomorrow or the day after, Friday, depending on when I can get everything sorted. But the transfers I'm considering, Alonso, do I keep him? There are a bunch of defenders that I like the look of and would also save me money, which could let me do some other things. And as far as the transfer in for Son, it's about whether I get someone similar price. To be honest, most of the options I'm looking at are slightly cheaper. Or do I upgrade him to Hazard, which would revolve around me getting Alonso to a cheaper option. If I get Alonso to cheap enough, I could possibly get Hazard in this team. And I think then with Pogba, Hazard, Salah and Sane, that's a pretty decent midfield. But yeah, it's whether I can get there or not with a defender cheap enough to allow for Alonso to be out and then Hazard's come in for Son. But anyway, enough about my team. Let's get on to the questions. And if you're wondering why I'm wearing both headphones for once, last time I did a stream, something weird happened to my ear mid-stream when I was only wearing one earbud. So I'm now playing both. So anyway, now is the time to ask you questions, just for the record, because I try not to start from the beginning because then I'm way behind the chat. So feel free to ask your questions and we will get on with the show. Man, that's good. Anyway. Okay, so Dom J, surely need a Liverpool defender there, Jay. I know Robertson and Trent offer assists in the best defence. That is true, Dom J. The reason I am a bit worried about Liverpool right now is because if I look at the Liverpool side, as far as the injury table, right now they have Joe Gomez injured, Joel Matip injured, Virgil van Dijk currently being assessed, Dejan Lovren ruled out. So that is Lovren, Matip and Gomez definitely out. So that leaves Virgil van Dijk, who, to be honest, my theory or my guess is that he's ill. And so I don't think he's a long-term concern. And of course, Virgil van Dijk is probably the most important defender amongst them. But then if you look, the rest of the fullbacks. So who is going to play alongside Van Dijk? Now, apparently, the youngster that played in the FA Cup game, I believe, did look very impressive despite the fact that Liverpool did lose. So it's possible that the defence is still going to be the best, but with those three injured, it concerns me. Now, the plan was always to go Alonso to Trent and save myself 1.5 million. That was the plan. Now, would I still go with that? I kind of want to hear about Lovren first. If I hear that Lovren could be back sooner than thought, and right now no return, so there's no return date for Dejan Lovren. Potential return for Matip is 19th of January, but he has been out for a while. Joe Gomez is the 30th of January, so I just worry about their centre-back situation. That is why right now I haven't gone with a Liverpool defender, but I definitely want one. I definitely want one. Wimbledon versus West Ham. Who will you be supporting from TP Football Analysis? So, I will be supporting AFC Wimbledon. It's that simple. I follow West Ham because of my wife. I do have an affinity towards West Ham, but Wimbledon is my side. Just to make that crystal clear. Daraj, remembering my vlog on AFC Wimbledon getting promoted. Tito AJ, it could be the case. I just want to, if this youngster is good alongside Van Dijk that they played, then Trent Alexander-Arnold is the one I want to go for. They do have the fixtures for it. Liverpool fixtures are Brighton Hove Albion, Crystal Palace, Leicester, West Ham and Bournemouth. So definitely could be looking at Trent. Sorry, just trying to find the best questions. Try not to ask questions with too many players involved, because then I'll spend too long answering the question. What do I class as a differential? So, one of the poll questions is how many differentials do you need? And it's interesting to find out what you guys think as far as that is concerned. What I would consider a differential, and we'll just go with midfielders to start off with, is differential to me is anyone under 10%. Now, just over, I think that's still a differential. It also does depend on how many live teams and how many teams around you own these players. So, for instance, to me, Neves' high ownership is because he was high owned at the beginning of the game. At least that's the way I look at it. Kante, again, I don't think many of the teams still playing really have Kante. I mean, you could if you got him as your budget midfielder and you're not really playing him. He is a starter, a regular starter, so I can see maybe him being in some teams around you, but my differentials would be Martial down. And if we look, are there any that I really think stand out as options? I mean, De Bruyne, if he starts to perform, is a big differential right now at 3.6, and he has looked decent when he's played. There was a good point in the chat that anything under 20% is a differential nowadays. That would include the likes of Felipe Anderson, who I think is a very good pick. Son would be, but he's going to be, of course, travelling away. So, for me, those are kind of your differentials, and it's how many should you have on the side. If I look at my side, I think defence, probably I have a few differentials. Attack, Ings at 7.2 is a differential. Jimenez is not a differential in my mind right now. 22.2%, and Aubameyang, of course, isn't either. So I reckon defence is probably where I have the majority of my differentials. Wan-Bissaka is not a differential right now. Although, I suppose if you play him, he could be, because not many people are playing him. Doherty isn't really a differential either, as Digne. My team seems a bit boring. Pereira is a guy I really want to have a look at. 3 returns in the last 4 games. A goal scored, an assist, potential for clean sheets. It's just those 3 fixtures there. But after that, this period here, I have a feeling is it Danilo or is it Ricardo? I think it's Ricardo. Ricardo Pereira is probably coming into my side. He's a really good look for me right now. His underlying stats are pretty damn epic. I did tweet about it. My transfer plans, I'm probably going to hold my transfer for the up-and-coming game week. Because I'm happy with the players I'm really considering transferring out are Alonso and Son, and maybe Ings. If I hear Ings is out for a very long time, Ings may go. Alonso, I'm keeping for this Newcastle game. It may then be he leaves for this run of fixtures here for someone cheaper like Trent. As far as Son goes, now look, I'd love to have him there because those are great fixtures for a player like Son. Part of me is worried about not having Kane because Kane's fixtures look better than Aubameyang. Again, if I saved money on Alonso, I could potentially upgrade to Kane. I'm not a fan of the way Kane necessarily plays all the time. But with Son gone, I think that's one of the attacking players that he plays deeper because of, not in the side. But I think Son, Ali and Eriksen are the better 3 behind Kane. So it's a bit of a situation for me where I'm not really sure if I want Kane. Don't get me wrong, I think Kane will score points. I just really prefer Son right now, and Son, of course, is disappearing for a bit. Other than that, Pogba is a worry. Ings is a worry. I just don't know who I would bring in for Ings. I mean, I could go back to Wilson, but there's transfer rumours around him and there's an injury concern. Still an injury concern around Marko Arnautovic, which is a shame. Although I think their fixtures, get a bit tougher now. Mitrovic, just not sure I can bring myself to bring him in. Aguero would be an easier swap for me. And the fixtures aren't awful. There is 2 tough fixtures there. But of course, that's a very big jump from Ings. That'd be very difficult to do. Just Kane looks the best striker option. Can maybe go Rashford and then really splash out in midfield. Or Firmino. To be honest, Firmino's underlying stats have looked pretty tasty. And those fixtures don't look bad. So you could double up. Would that be a risk I'm willing to take? Because if we look at his history, like 2-2, but then 17, a hat-trick, and 8. 1 goal. Bonus points in both 3 and 2, but his underlying stats for those games are pretty good as well. So right now I might just carry it if I think this team can do well enough in game week 22, and then make my move after that. Question I love, Luke Gamer HD. As soon as I see it, I will answer it. Captaincy options. So we'll do what we always do. I'll look at the fixtures first. And the easiest fixture for one of the big hitters is probably Chelsea against Newcastle. Although Newcastle can be quite defensively sound. Man City against Wolves, but again, Wolves can be quite defensively sound. And then if you're looking at away games, you've got Liverpool versus Brighton Hove Albion. So, and then Everton do have Bournemouth, and Bournemouth have of course been a team that have conceded quite a few goals. So Richarlison could be a captaincy choice if you're really thinking of risking it. For me, the issue I have with Hazard right now is I always worry about bringing a player in where I think the situation is going to change. Now, I know that Real Madrid want Hazard. I know Chelsea also want to buy a new striker. Now, just because this new striker is new doesn't mean that Hazard's going to play with him any better than he played with Morata or Giroud. So, without having him already, I am a bit concerned about bringing in Hazard. But I do like Hazard against Newcastle, even if Newcastle can be defensively sound. I don't like Richarlison, and I've explained this multiple times. There's just something about him as a player that I don't trust. But if you've got him, I would understand if you captained him. For me, the captain choice probably is going to just go down to Mohamed Salah. That is the player I have with a fixture that I think Liverpool will score in, that is on form. It is away. Maybe I would prefer a different fixture. I mean, Arsenal are away to West Ham. Could be goals in that for Aubameyang, but I think Salah is the one for me. Followed by Hazard. And then I still wouldn't begrudge anyone going with a Man City option against Wolves. So that's probably my take on the captaincy option. Hopefully that has helped you out. Siraj in the chat. Hello, Doctor. Okay, I'll quickly get to Daraj Pandey's question, but it's going to be quick just because it's got multiple players to consider. I need alternatives for Edison, Holebas, Anderson, and Wilson. So for Holebas, if you don't have Digne, I really like Digne with the fixtures. I really like Doherty. Pereira, there's an issue with Pereira purely because of the fixtures, but he's looked really good. Edison, I mean, with Man City not keeping clean sheets, if you want to go like for like, Alisson. Liverpool are the team keeping clean sheets. So, like for like, I'd go to Alisson. If you want to downgrade, there's multiple choices there, but season ticker wise, you could be looking at Southampton. Could be looking at Cardiff maybe. I think their keeper's Etheridge, if I'm correct. But that is short term. You may have to transfer out a goalkeeper later on with that. And then transfer for Anderson. The players I've been looking at, you may have them. Richarlison, Fraser. I'm thinking of going back to Fraser. And Hazard's a big jump. But if you can do it, part of me wants to consider Hazard again. If I actually will is another question. And then Wilson. I would potentially wait on Wilson now because there's transfer rumours he's going to Chelsea. It could work out really well. It might not. They are also interested in Higuain, which is another question I've got for you. Put it in the chat. Are you guys interested in me doing player analysis? I know some of you may be familiar with that, but during pre-season I often do a series called Player Analysis where any transfer in, I look over the stats from their previous leagues and decide if I think they're worth taking a punt on. So let me know if you guys want to see that. But with Wilson, if you don't have Jimenez, Jimenez is the easy crossover. Troy Deeney, Mitrovic, kind of in the same price range if you're thinking of changing. If you can go up to Rashford, to me it looks like Rashford may be pretty nailed on under Solskjaer. So Raj, what am I drinking? Again, if you want to... Do they have a Twitter? Let me find out first. Just because I would love this company to sponsor me. So I'm going to have a look for it. But I doubt they have a Twitter. I mean, if someone wants to be a diamond and look this up and see if they can find it, but I can't find them on Twitter. But I am drinking O'Donnell Tough Nut Moonshine, which is a liqueur, 25%, so I'm not being ridiculous with my percentage. But on some ice, this stuff is epic. They also do other flavours. I would love for them to sponsor me. Absolutely love it. That is true. Sorry, John Chappelle is definitely right. I'm considering Fraser, but beware, he is currently carrying an injury. He's 50% likely to play this game week. Is there any other ones I think really need covering? What I don't get nowadays is teams seem to, in the FA Cup and the early rounds of the League Cup, make up excuses for their players not playing. Just admit you're not bothered about it. We all know it's the truth nowadays. I know the big teams don't really care about the FA Cup. I know the big teams definitely don't care about the Carabao Cup. Unless they get to a certain stage. Then suddenly, oh, we could get a trophy. But at the beginning of the season and this time of the season, when the fixtures are very congested, everyone sees the FA Cup fixture as one where you can like rest your players in. Jeff Holt, if I was going to lose one of those midfielders, and thank you for joining the chat, Jeff, I wouldn't lose Hazard, I wouldn't lose Pogba, I wouldn't lose Sterling. As you've got Ali and Eriksen, I'd lose one of those for Salah. To be honest, Dave, I'm not trusting Everton for clean sheets at all. It's purely for that attacking threat. He got 17 points in the game week. I'm happy to have him in my side just in case he does that again, because that was an epic game week. I would agree with Daraj. If you've got Anderson or Nautovic, depending on his injury, Arsenal have been awful defensively. I'd play Snodgrass, Aaron Chen. I know Wan-Bissaka is the master of getting points on your bench, but I think against Arsenal, teams are capable of scoring. Alan T, to be honest, most of my audience are not youngsters, but do drink responsibly. But most of my... I can even have a look for you if you want the exact... This is getting off FPL topic, but we do that sometimes. We're not strict on ourselves here. The whole point of my streams is it's nice, relaxed, and you can drink whatever you like. But if we have a look at my demographic... You know what? I'm pretty sure I can show this to you, so why the hell not? Just in case any of you are interested. Although I am now struggling to do it. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, that is a bit off centre. Nope. Give me that one. I cannot move it. That's annoying. Okay, anyway, I'll read it to you. 13 to 17 years old of age. Wait, no. That's not what I want. Viewer age. I don't want watch time. Female, male, blah, blah, blah. Where is it? This is annoying. Is it here? Yeah, I suppose that gives a rough enough estimate. You'd think I'd look at my things more often. But anyway, total views. We'll go by views. We won't go by subs. 0.6% of my view time is by 13 to 17 year olds. 46 is by 25 to 34. So over almost 75%. Yeah, over 75% of mine is definitely old enough no matter what country. Just for the record. Just for the record. Anyway, back on topic. Back on topic. Siraj, you've been around when I've not necessarily been in my senses though. But thanks for the backup. Just for the record, on Nasri, I would not risk Nasri because he's been dropped. By the way, thank you so much, David Cosgrove, for joining the flock. But Nasri's been dropped and let go out of contract by teams that are not Premiership standard. So I would not... Nasri could definitely do something, but I wouldn't go on Nasri. Thoughts about Mane? I don't know. I think I prefer Roberto Firmino, to be fair. Like, just off the top of my head, having looked at their stats recently, I feel like Firmino's definitely offering more now than he was early in the season. I mean, I can compare the two, which I think could be useful. So in the last 4 game weeks, if we compare the two, Firmino comes out way on top for underlying stats. If we look at penalty area touches, it is more for Mane than Firmino. But as far as goal attempts, it's 10 to 8 in Firmino's favour. Shots on target, 7 to 3 in Firmino's favour. Big chances in total, 4 to 2. Chances scored, 4 to 1. That are big chances. Minutes per attempt, 32.5 to 39.5. Shot accuracy, 70% to 37.5% in Firmino's favour. We've also got chances created. Mane creates more chances. But overall, I think Firmino is definitely a better look for me than Mane. And he's cheaper. Or is he cheaper? I think he's still cheaper. I could be very, very wrong. It has happened before. We've got Mane at 9.5, Firmino at 9.2. It's not very cheaper, but it's cheaper. That 0.3 could go towards something. The problem I have with Leicester City is I just don't have... I think Maddison just offers good value for cheaper than Vardy. Don't get me wrong, Vardy could absolutely go nuts. But I just think I prefer Maddison, just for team balance. Because for me, I look at Arsenal and I don't think there's anyone I want other than Aubameyang if I'm going to have Arsenal cover. With Spurs, when Son's there, I'm happy with Son over Kane. With City, I'm happy with a City midfielder over Aguero. Just with Arsenal, I'm not happy with anyone. That could change during the transfer window. Arsenal are looking at players. Emre's going to want to put his own stamp on the team. So that could, of course, change. But right now, if I'm going to spend that much on a striker, I think Aubameyang makes the most sense to me. At the moment. I do want Kane for his fixtures, though. With Son gone, the question for me is Kane or Aubameyang. Sane off, Bernardo in. The issue with Bernardo is I just worry that as soon as De Bruyne is fit, then Bernardo Silva becomes irrelevant. And of course, I was happy to take that risk early on in the season because he was playing and he was cheap. But I imagine David Silva would play less of a role. Now, to be fair, he is featured in a lot of games. And for his price, that is good returns. But the thing with Sane is he can be explosive. But probably overall, those returns probably aren't more significant than Bernardo Silva. If we go to points scored, total score, 107, 127. Bernardo Silva on 95 for 0.2 million cheaper. He's only 12 points behind Sane. He's a lot cheaper than Sterling, and he's only 32 points cheaper below Sterling. I mean, I would like Mahrez. Mahrez would be... If Mahrez could actually be a regular starter in Pep's side, I'll be very happy with him. John Chappell, I'll say the reason I really don't like Mane is I don't feel like he's prolific. I know I say this with Salah on my side, and Salah didn't have a great start to the season. Mane feels patchy to me. Like, I never feel 100% confident Mane's going to continue a good run of form. Now, don't get me wrong, you could be completely right, and he could absolutely go nuts. But there's something about Mane, and you have these things with certain players. And right now, my main one is Richarlison. Martial are probably lessened on. I think Martial's a good player. I'm now just worried he won't be featuring as much in that Man United side. Now the manager's changed. If the manager hadn't changed, I think Martial was the best Man United option. Now the manager's changed. If I look at actual class of player, Pogba is just a class above everyone else, which is why I've gone for the risk of Pogba. But I would say Rashford is definitely a decent shout. Potentially Lingard could be as well. But I think Pogba's a definite starter, and he's just a quality player. Now, the reason I'm worried about Mane is when he's hot, 16, 10, 3, 10. Then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fixtures, no returns. Then he returned big. 2 fixtures not. Then he returned all right. 3 fixtures not. Then he returned all right. And I just feel like I've already got Salah. Do I need another Liverpool midfielder? Whereas up front, I'm not so sure about what I'm doing. I feel like I need someone from Liverpool, Man City, Spurs in midfield. The way Man United have currently been playing, and Man United. And the easiest way to cover those teams, apart from Son, of course, going to the Asian Cup, was midfield. Sorry, a bit of wind, trying to hold it back. As far as Son is concerned, the safest bet, I believe, would be to go Eriksen. If you don't have Kane. If you have Kane, then go to whoever you want. Whoever you want. Desiree Charija. If Tottenham win on Sunday, I'll walk naked in town. Part of me is tempted for you to send me a tweet. Just say how nuts the flock is. When we make bets, we make bets. And by the way, just for the record, I did captain Pogba for those who knew it in the last stream. I stick to my guns. I forgot exactly who it was, but I promised them I was captaining Pogba. I stuck to it. Yen Ju Woo, I've already said I wouldn't go Nasri. Nasri, we'll quickly go over Nasri. I've got to go to another site to get his stats, but I really do not like the look of Nasri at all. Tell you what, I'm going to finish this bottle. It just tastes too nice. I'm maybe not drinking responsibly right now, but it just tastes so good. Anyway, I apologise for promoting alcohol consumption. Okay, so, summary of his history. Of course, we all know he was at Arsenal. Now, the issue at Arsenal was he had two seasons I'd say are really good. 2010 to 2011, 10 goals, 1 assist. 2011 to 2012 for Man City, because he went there, I think, during that season. Maybe I don't remember when. But 5 goals, 9 assists. That's very good. Then 2012, 2013, 2 goals, 7 assists. At the price he's coming into the FPL game at, decent. 2013-14. Now this is still 4 years ago. 7 goals, 7 assists. Again, at the current price point, okay. No, well, that's good. 2 and 6 in 2014-15 for Man City. Again, these are the top sides in the country, by the way. 2 goals, 6 assists. Since that season, 2014-15, Man City, 2 goals, 2 assists. He was a sub. He then didn't really feature. Went to Sevilla in Spain. 22 games played, 2 goals, 3 assists. Sevilla decided we don't need him. He goes to Antalyaspor. Probably said that wrong. At a Turkish club, he managed to get 8 appearances, 2 goals, 1 assist. And then this Turkish club decided to let him go. No offence to the Turkish League, but to go from the Turkish League to the English Premier League, I don't think you're going to improve your stats. Do I think Sanchez will be first choice at Man United? I'm captaining Salah, by the way, Shane Daly, but that's purely because Wolves' defence can be good. But anyway, the question was, sorry for the table bang, Sanchez. Now, Sanchez is a quality player. We all know that. We all know what he has been capable of. Again, I've closed it. I shouldn't close it. I should just leave it there just in case I need it again. But Sanchez has had great seasons. I can actually bring up his stats on the site I usually use, but then I've got to go into different years. But Alexis Sanchez, if we look at his past, we've got 24 goals, 10 assists, 2016-17 season. 2015-16, 13 goals, 4 assists. Not as good. But 2014-15 season, 16-8. Barcelona, 19-10. Goals, assists. So we know what he is capable of in a season. Now, I would like to think that Solskjaer's gone in there and has decided to give everyone a chance. He straight away brought back in Pogba. Played Rashford, Martial, Lingard. I feel like he's going to evaluate the whole side. If Sanchez is given a chance, it's completely possible that he comes in and absolutely smashes it. Completely possible. If that happens, I think he will go on a run of form. I think, again, he wants to prove his worth. Even if in the future he's going to leave Man United, he wants to prove he's a great player. You do that by playing and playing well. So, I think Sanchez could do really well. But I know Solskjaer has got history of Man United and the youth team. So it's completely possible Rashford and Lingard get opportunities. Would I captain Hazard over Salah from Aaron Chen? No. I'm going Salah. Hazard has Newcastle and Rafa Benitez can put on a good defensive performance. By the way, guys, bring in the questions because we got to the bottom of the chat. I don't want to scroll too far up. So if you have a question and haven't answered it, feel free to type it again. Also, if you really want your question answered quickly or urgently, any question that's super chatted, I will answer. I won't cut off answering another question because that's just rude. But I will answer as quickly as possible. Also, feel free to check out the links in the description. And this Friday, I should be streaming with the FPL Wildcats. So, if you want to see me, Kurt, Brett and Nimfria, and we've just hit 1,000 subscribers, feel free to go check us out on that. FPL Wildcats. If you haven't subscribed already, go subscribe. Daraj with some news. Apparently Aguero is ill. Keep an eye on that for press conferences. Although, knowing Pep, he won't give anything up at all. Another hoops. Are you going captaining Aubameyang over Salah. I don't think Aubameyang is a bad choice. I don't think West Ham's defence is that good. I just fancy Salah more. I think Palesh van Vadnere. I think Aguero isn't a better choice than Aubameyang, purely because Aubameyang, to me, is the Arsenal player to own. I think Sane and Sterling are potentially cover for Aguero. And Jesus has hit some form recently. Baskar Bora. Should I bench Deulofeu or Digne? Now I've got Pereira and Digne, so... And I think if you look, I have benched Pereira. Yeah, I've benched Pereira against Crystal Palace away because I feel like they're defensively solid. And I played Digne against Bournemouth. Now, do I think Everton will keep a clean sheet? No. But do I think Digne could get an assist or a goal? Yes. So that is why I've gone with what I've gone with. I am tempted to transfer Deulofeu in for Pereira. I feel like I should have just done that anyway because team-wise, that seems the most sensible to me. But I went with Pereira instead because I preferred him as a choice at the time. Good long-term defenders, I would go with Liverpool. Ellison Chur, that's as you say name. I think that's your best choice. Garcia, I'm trying to put a foreign spin on that. I definitely think Aubameyang has the underlying. Aubameyang's underlying stats are incredible. Let me just, apart from his underlying stats against Liverpool, which were incredible for a completely different reason, but Aubameyang, 4 goals in 4 games, 14 attempts on goal, 13 from inside the box, 6 big chances. Apart from a few players, aka Ashley Barnes, and Rashford is on 5, he is head and shoulders above the rest for big chances. Shots on target, he could be a bit better. Rashford above him. I mean, Rashford's underlying stats look pretty good, to be fair. But Aubameyang definitely looks like he's due something. What I will say now is everything I'm seeing and everything I know about Solskjaer, and there are some Man United fans in the chat, they can disagree or agree with me if they like, there is the potential this second half of the season for Rashford to absolutely explode. I kind of wish, and I don't mean to ever wish this on anyone, touch wood, that Lukaku was injured for the rest of the season, because I think Rashford could go absolutely nuts. Because he's always looked good. He's always had that directness about him, but I just don't feel like he's had a manager that believes in him, and I now think he's got that, and potentially Rashford could go absolutely ham. Vince Chapman wants to know my strategy going forward. Oh, we've got a super chat from Geordie Kev. Looking like it's from New Zealand with some New Zealand dollars. Okay, maybe I'm now drinking too much to the guy that said, is that guy, wasn't it? Alan T. But thank you so much for the super chat or donation. If you want your question got to, make sure to do that because I will get onto it next. But I was going on about Rashford. I think Rashford's definitely going to be a very good option. And Vince Chapman, my strategy going forward, I don't like to plan too far in advance, but I do know I kind of want Southampton for the next 5. That was what Ings was there for. Everton, I've got the cover for. Liverpool, I'm thinking of doubling up on. And then transfer-wise, it's Alonso, Son, and Ings that I'm worried about. So those are the players I'm looking at alternatives for. I don't like to plan too far in advance because I feel like you limit yourself to making quick decisions. Like, for instance, if I plan too far ahead, I may not have gone with Son. So for that reason, I don't like to plan too far in advance. Although I will start planning for game week 31, I believe it is. Liverpool-Fulham is confirmed for that game week. There will be blanks in that game week, and Liverpool-Fulham will definitely happen, and it's Liverpool-Fulham. So that's a nice fixture to have in game week 31. Anyway, to the sponsored question. Thank you so much, Geordie Kev. Mora being well rested, not a great option for Son. Actually, that is a good point. My issue would be Lamella, because I think Lamella has looked very good in that side as well when he's got the chance. Lucas Moura apparently has a knee injury, but 50% likely to play on the 13th of January. So I reckon after Gameweek 22, it shouldn't be too big an issue. Lucas Moura did, of course, have a good start to the season when Son necessarily wasn't playing that many games. So I think that is $2 well spent, because I think that's a very, very good point. If we look at Spurs, and I mean price-wise, if I drop 2 million there, I could always then upgrade Pereira and I'd still have Spurs cover. See, sometimes it's you guys helping me and not just me helping you guys, because with Son not there, I know it would only be a short-term move, but either one of these, if we could figure out who was starting, Lucas Moura had a very good period of 7, 15, 5. Then he got 9 points there, 8 points there, 11 points there. And if you think, he kind of went quiet here, which was annoying. But as a make weight, while we spend money elsewhere, just to have that Spurs coverage could be useful. And then you've got Lamella as well. Again, minutes-wise is a big worry. He has got a lot of rest. But when he does, to be honest, it's usually not in the Premier League when he plays. But even as substitute, he's sometimes looked good. It's just whether I'd be willing to take that punt. And to do it, I'd have to be like, I know I'm getting someone like Hazard in. If I had Pogba, Hazard, Salah and Sane, I could then maybe go, okay, Lucas Moura is the fifth midfielder's fine. There would be times when I'd be tempted to play him over others, but I don't feel confident enough in Lucas Moura yet. But I guarantee if he had a few good game weeks, then that could very drastically change. A lot of people saying Rashford is the player to own. Vince Champman saying he's a must. Shane Daly, look, at the end of the day, I am not bothered if Man United, no offence to Man United fans, I am not bothered if Man United can't beat the top six. Because, yes, they got Spurs, then they got Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Chelsea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, they're capable of getting points at any of these or goals at any of these. 4 fixtures in a row that are good. 2 fixtures in a row that are good. Okay, they're rated threes, but I still fancy them in those fixtures. And then they end the season well. There's literally only, and I have no issue with 1 game difficult. 2 games in a row hard, that's a bit more of an issue. But come on. I should have enough players in my side to cover for them not doing well in these 5 games. 5 games out of 16 games left-ish. So I would not pick a Man United player because they haven't proven themselves against the top 6 yet. Because if we're thinking strictly FPL, does it matter? It really doesn't. Like, any player could come against the top 6 and not perform. That is a great point by someone. Another hoops. Plan for Gameweek 27 as well. No City and no Spurs or Chelsea. That is a very, very good point. Florence Sander also telling me that Alonso's due to go down in price. We'll have a quick look at that in a second. Now, right now... Wait, hasn't it been decided out of Chelsea and Spurs, or have that not played yet? I can't remember. I thought Spurs won. Did they not win? I could be completely wrong. I just felt like Spurs had won already. Alright, nice to see you, FPL Tips. Why do I have Schindler? I thought he could have a good run of fixtures. He had easy fixtures. I thought he could get me some points. Hasn't happened. Son won't miss loads of games because he's only going for the last game of the group stages. So I can't imagine he'll be out for that long. But I think it's long enough where you need to transfer him out. Anyway, what was there was a point I was going to look at, and I've completely forgotten it. I think I may not now be drinking responsibly. It was the Spurs game. But anyway, Chelsea, Spurs and City may not be playing in game week 27. Now, I've got 1, 2, 3 right now. So I could cover that with my bench. Couple transfers, it wouldn't even be an issue. I would try not to use your free hit on that weekend. If you need to, then fine. But I would try to save that for the other blank game week because there's usually more fixtures missing in a later game week than the one that matches up with the Carabao Cup. So I would start thinking about that if you really needed to drastically change your team, like you had 2 Chelsea and 2 City, or 2 Spurs and 2 City. So I would definitely consider looking at game week 27. But if your team only has 3... How many has he had to drink? I've finished my bottle of Tough Nut, but you know. If you only have 3 players from those teams, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Okay, Spurs won first leg, and you're just assuming Man City will win. Sean Keefe, actually, drinking an FPL has actually worked out for me a couple of times. Do people remember Hazard transfer from last season? That worked out really well. Am I transferring out Ings? The thing with Ings is I believe that I want Southampton coverage, and I still haven't heard enough about his injury. He's injured for 2 weeks. Potential return is the 19th, so he's going to miss this game week. But after that, he's still got Everton, Palace, Burnley, Cardiff. So part of me's tempted to hold. If I was to transfer him out, I think I would probably go back to Wilson. There's not many strikers up front that I really have faith in that are around that price. I mean, Deeney at 5.9 million seems good value. I mean, if you can upgrade to Arnautovic, I might take the risk on that. If you don't have Raul Jimenez is the one I'd bring in, if you could. For me, Palace, Fadner, a keeper below 5 million. Fabianski's always look good. Foster's always look good. There we go, Siraj. I think it was Firmino and Hazard, wasn't it? And I think both did really well. Hudson-Odoi, I'm actually hoping Hudson-Odoi moves to the Bundesliga. And I'm going to admit I'm starting to grow an affinity for the Bundesliga because a lot of English youngsters are going there and getting a chance. And it's kind of what I wish the Premiership would have. Like Jadon Sancho, is it Reece Nelson? And then if Hudson-Odoi goes there as well, just if you think of other players, not necessarily English, that have got their chance there. Kevin De Bruyne. Like, I just feel like in the German league, because of the way it's set up, youngsters have more of an opportunity. And I kind of wish that was the way in the Premier League. For the next 4 game weeks, best sub 5 million goalkeeper. Okay, so Southampton have Leicester, Everton, Crystal Palace, Burnley. That's probably the only team without one tough fixture that has a sub £5 million goalkeeper. I mean, Cardiff have Huddersfield, Newcastle and then Bournemouth. but they have Arsenal in game week 24. Burnley have Fulham, Watford, Southampton. I wouldn't go Burnley. I wouldn't go Fulham. Cardiff, I might take a risk on. Palace, I might take a risk on, but they do have Watford, Liverpool, but then it's Southampton, Fulham. It's difficult. Watford have Crystal Palace, Burnley, then it is Spurs, but then it's Brighton, Hove Albion. So I reckon it'd probably be Foster. Is it Guaita playing for Palace at the moment? Cardiff, Etheridge, and Southampton, is it McCarthy playing right now? So those are probably the ones I'd look at. Baksar, Bora, I might keep Aubameyang to the end of the season, to be honest. This game week, Patricio or Foster? I think it would have to be Foster. Who are Watford playing? If I can find them. Crystal Palace. Against Crystal Palace, it has to be Foster. Surely, Man City will score one. I have to agree with Siraj. I think Pogba is just a talent. He is. And if he's allowed to play his way, I think you've got a great player there. I really think Rashford could be a hit this season. I'm hoping he is, to be fair. I would love for an English youngster to be really good at a big side. You know what, guys? I'm probably going to call it there. So unless a question really takes my fancy from the chat, and apologies if I didn't get to your question. Again, I apologise, there's lots of questions asked. If you really want to make sure your question is addressed, Super Chat is the way to make sure that happens. I understand you may not want to do that. I do try and cover the questions that seem the most interesting and the ones that have the most chat about them in the chat. But Super Chat is a way to guarantee that I do answer your question. It's the easiest way to separate and allow for the channel to be supported and for me to get to someone's question. I will go over the polls, which does involve me refreshing my YouTube page. So apologies if I just ramble for a little bit, because I've just got to wait for that to refresh. By the way, I am live streaming with the Wildcats on Friday, so make sure to tune into that for some other opinions. We've got some great guys on there, Brett, Kurt and Nimfria. So make sure to check that out. We just hit 1,000 subscribers on that channel. We only started it this season as well, so that's decent growth for half a season. Hopefully we can hit 2,000 by the end of the season. That would be absolutely epic. But on to the polls. How many points did he get for game week 21? Okay, the majority got 31 to 50 in the flock, which is surprising because usually the flock is above the average. 36% getting 51 to 70. And then 71 to 90 by 12%. No one getting 91 or more. So, a bad game week, pretty much, for the flock. That's pretty unusual. Got some good players in the flock. How many differential players should you own? I don't feel like many of my players are differentials anymore. I'm going to go 3 or 4, but there's 2 or less, 66%. And then 33% on 3 to 4. I think it does really depend on your rank. If your rank is good, then you need the same players because you don't want to drop the rank. But surprised to see it, so many people going so low. And who's your captain for game week 22? I've already said mine, Salah. 56% agreeing with me. 31% going to Aubameyang, 12% going Hazard, 0% going Aguero, which is surprising. 0% going for another option. So I definitely think you could be looking at any of those three seem like the favoured captaincy choices. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this stream as always. I hope to stream a lot more. I know there was a period in November where I've rarely streamed, and in December it was stream or video. I'm hoping to get back to both now that there's a bit more time between fixtures, although of course there will be some more fixture congestion in the future. It just makes it a bit more difficult for content creation as it's currently my hobby. Although, thanks to you guys, I am earning a bit of money on this now. So, that is epic. Thank you guys so much for your support. But I will try, now that there's usually a week between fixtures, to get more content out. So thank you guys for joining the stream. Thank you for all the support on the channel. If you want to give any more support, you can become a member of the stream. There is a link, second link in the description, where you can become a member. You get a special badge next to your name, and we can, once there's a few more, figure out ways to give you guys something extra. You can join the Patreon. There is some merchandise, Flock merchandise, if you want to check that out. And if you're doing any shopping on Amazon, an Amazon affiliate link as well. All the plugs aside, thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Hopefully you have a great game week. Stay tuned for the video for my transfer decisions, the problems with my side, which is one of my most popular videos. Make sure to tune in for that. I've been JNO. This has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game. I had this in my hand, just fiddling with it for no reason, just in case.